welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Gaia, also known as Granny Gaia on TikTok, Instagram, and of course here on YouTube. Today's tutorial is on this mesh sweater here. I'm sure I'll include some better footage of me wearing this. This sweater is very easy to make, very beginner friendly. This is a made to measure tutorial, but I also provide you with my own measurements and my own stitch and row counts for you to use as reference. I also filmed a vlog of me making this sweater because this is actually a remake of my first ever crochet sweater. So if you are interested in watching the whole design process, then you can go ahead and check it out on my YouTube channel. As always, if you have any questions, I'm very happy to help. You can leave your questions in the comments or message me on Instagram and I'll do my best to get back to you. Before we begin, I'd like to thank today's sponsor, Skillshare. I've been wanting to improve my video editing skills, and the classes on Skillshare have made the process easy and enjoyable. Skillshare is the largest online learning platform for creatives, offering thousands of classes taught by industry professionals in areas like film, illustration, design, freelancing, productivity, and more. It's a valuable resource for advancing your career, skills, hobbies, passions, or side hustle. For those running crochet businesses and interested in creating content for platforms like YouTube and Instagram, Skillshare offers classes in entrepreneurship, social media, marketing, and more to help you succeed. I'm currently taking a class called Video Editing Essentials in DaVinci Resolve by Marcel Patillo. Since I recently switched from editing my YouTube videos on my phone to my laptop, I had little knowledge of using advanced software. However, this class has been incredibly helpful, guiding me step by step to produce high-quality videos and offering valuable tips along the way. Skillshare's new class system features smarter categories, 3 new topics including creative career, creative inspiration, AI and innovation, and the ability to search by material and software. Additionally, new members share their interests and Skillshare provides tailored recommendations. The first 500 people to use my link in the description will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Again, thank you to Skillshare for supporting my channel. In today's tutorial, I'm going to be using a fingering weight or weight 1 yarn with a 5.5mm hook, some scissors, a darning needle, some stitch markers, and a tape measure. You can use any yarn and any hook for this project because it is a made-to-measure pattern, so I will be providing measurements and how you can adjust it to your size. Just make sure that the yarn you're using is soft on the skin. I would recommend using a cotton or bamboo. This one I'm using in this video is 70% bamboo and 30% cotton. If you want to get the same yarn I'm using, this is the brand of yarn. Of course, I'm not using this color, but it is the same exact yarn. I've just caked this up. First thing we need to do is take our measurements. So I need my chest circumference, also known as my bust measurement. So just take your measuring tape and measure along your bust. And my bust is 83 centimeters. Okay, now we're going to calculate the width of our front and back panels. So I'm going to take my bust measurement of 83 centimeters and divide that by 2. And that gives me 41.5 centimeters. And since I want this mesh sweater to fit a little bit oversized on me, I'm going to add a few centimeters to that measurement. I've chosen to add 3.5 centimeters extra. So with that measurement of 41.5, I'm going to plus 3.5, which will give me 45 centimeters. So now we know that our front and back panels will have a width of 45 centimeters. So to start, we're going to make a slip knot. And now we're going to make a chain that reaches the measurement we just calculated. So for me, I'm going to make a chain that reaches 45 centimeters. You want to try and make your chains quite loose because as we make the sweater, the chains tend to have less stretch. Okay, so I have made my chains. I did a chain of 69 and it reaches 45 centimeters. Now you can do a turning chain if you want to, but because this pattern is quite flowy and oversized anyway, I don't feel the need to do that. So I'm just going to go straight into crocheting my first row. But if you do want to do a turning chain, you can do a turning chain of 2 since we'll be using half double crochets. So to start, I'm going to skip these 2 first chains and work into that 3rd chain, making a half double crochet. So yarn over and skip these first 2 chains, 1, 2, and working into that 3rd chain, make a half double crochet. And we're going to make 1 half double crochet in each stitch all the way across. So yarn over, go into your next stitch, pull up a loop, and with 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Now I like to mark the very first half double crochet stitch we made because, as you can see, it can get a little hard to see where your first stitch was. So when we come back to it in the next row, it's easier to see where our last stitch is. Okay, I'm going to continue making half double crochets. So yarn over, going into the next chain, pulling up a loop, and with 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all loops on the hook. Again, yarn over, going into the next chain, pulling up a loop, you have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Keep doing this all the way down until you reach the end of your chain. Okay, I have finished making my first row. I just finished making my last stitch. I suggest that when you finish your first row, take your project and just measure it against your body and make sure that you like how it fits. So for me, this is how I'm measuring it because this is just our front panel. So this is how wide my front panel is going to be. It sits quite loosely, which is what I'm aiming for. And to start the next row, we're going to chain 2, turn your work, and make 1 half double crochet in each stitch along. So we're going to go into this first stitch here, yarn over, insert your hook into that first stitch, pull up a loop, and with 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Again, just to make it easier for me, on the next row, I'm going to place a stitch marker in that very first stitch. Okay, and now place 1 half double crochet stitch in every stitch across. So yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop, and with 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through. Just like you've been doing on the first round, keep doing this all the way until the end of your row. I have come up to my last stitch here that's marked by a stitch marker. Taking that out and placing my last half double crochet in that stitch. And then to start the next row, I'm going to chain 2, turn my work, and again make 1 half double crochet in every stitch across. Continue making rows and rows of half double crochet until you reach your desired length. Okay, so I made a total of 45 half double crochet rows. It also measures about 37 centimeters long. So when you're happy with the number of rows, just measure it against your body. So put it up to your shoulders like this. And just make sure that you're happy with the length. So for me, I'm happy with the length and I'm gonna stop here. Okay, so once you've made your last stitch, we're just going to chain 1 and cut off our yarn. Pull to tighten, and your front panel is done. Now you're going to do the same exact thing one more time. So we're going to make another panel just like this with the same stitch count, the same measurements to make our back panel. Once you have your 2 panels done, we're now going to join them at the shoulder part. First thing you want to do is measure the panel against your body so that we can determine how wide you want your neck to be. So I just take my panel, put it up against my body like this. What I'm going to do is take a stitch marker and I'm going to mark one side, making it as even as I can, and then marking where I want my neckline to start, so about here for me. So I'll just mark right here. Again, I'm just going to put this against my body just to double check that I like the placement. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. So now we're going to count the number of stitches on this side so that we can mark the same number of stitches on the other side so that our neckline is even. Okay, so like I said, we're going to count the number of stitches we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So we have 20 stitches in between the end and our stitch marker. Now we're going to count the same number on the other side here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And I'll mark that 20th stitch. So for reference, this measures about 14 centimeters. We're going to do the same thing on the other panel. So I have my other panel here. And again, I'm going to count 20 stitches, mark the 20th stitch on both sides. I have my neckline marked. So now we're going to attach the front and back panels together to create these shoulders. So it doesn't really matter which panel is your front and which panel is your back. So I'm just going to take both my panels and line them up like this and start with the panel that I haven't cut off my yarn from yet. Okay, so I'm going to chain 1 and now we're going to start joining the panels together. So here we have our stitches. I'm going to insert my hook into this first stitch right here, picking up both loops and then going on the opposite panel here and picking up that first stitch right here. And now I'm going to do a slip stitch, so yarn over and pull through all the loops on your hook. That's our first slip stitch. Now we're going to do the same thing all the way down until we reach our stitch markers. So to continue, insert your hook into the next stitch, and on the opposite panel, insert your hook into the next stitch as well. Yarn over and pull through all the loops on your hook to make a slip stitch. Repeating that again, inserting your hook into the next stitch and into the next stitch on the opposite side. Yarning over and pulling through all loops on your hook. Okay, keep doing this until you reach your stitch markers. So this is what it should look like. And then on the underside, this is our good side, so you can't really see the seam here. Okay, so I have reached my stitch markers. I have one more stitch to go through. So I'm just going to remove my stitch markers and go through my last stitch. So here, okay, now that you're done, you're going to chain 1 and cut off your yarn. Pull to tighten, and there you go, we have our first shoulder seam. Now we're going to do the same exact thing to the other side. So I'm just going to flip this so that we can start on the outside and work our way inwards. Now on this side, there's no yarn that's already attached, so we're just going to attach our yarn. We're going to pick up both loops on this stitch right here. It's just the first stitch of this panel. Take my yarn, pull it through. This is how I like to join my yarn. You can join your yarn however you like. But once I have it through, I'm just going to make a knot. Just like so. Then taking my hook, inserting it back into that same stitch, and taking my working yarn, pulling up a loop, chaining one, and now we can start the same exact thing we did on the other side. So insert your hook back into that first stitch, and on the opposite panel, go into that first stitch as well, picking up both loops, like so. Then yarn over and pull through all the loops on your hook, just like we did on the other side. So continue doing this until you reach your stitch marker. Okay, so I'm reaching my stitch markers here. We're going to take them off and seam together the last two stitches. So going into that last stitch and slip stitching. Okay, so after chaining one, you can cut off your yarn. Pull to tighten, and you are done connecting the front and back panels. Now that we've finished seaming up our panels, we're going to seam up the sides of our panels so that we can create our armhole. Now to determine how big you want the armhole to be, you're going to try it on, and we're just going to roughly line up the panels together and kind of close them up like this as if we were going to seam them. And you're going to place a stitch marker as to where you want your armhole to start. So I want my armhole to be a little bit tighter, but not too tight. So I'm going to do it just right under the underarm here. So that's how big I want my armhole to be. Take my stitch marker, and I'm only going to mark one of the panels because later we will count the number of stitches onto the other side to make sure that it's even. So I'm just going to mark it on this front panel here. Put my stitch marker somewhere here to mark it. Now we're going to take it off and mark the other side. Okay, so this is the spot I've marked. Counting from the seam here, this is the 17th row. This also measures about 16 centimeters. Count the number of rows starting from the stitch marker all the way to the seam here. So for me, I have 17 rows in between. So now I'm going to count 17 rows on the other side, starting from our seam. It's 1, 2, 3,
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14,
15, 16, 17. You're going to place a stitch marker in that 17th row. We've marked it out, so this is how big my armhole is going to be. I recommend you try this on again just to make sure that you like the placement and you like how big the armhole is. Once you're happy, we can start seaming up the sides, starting from the bottom. So I'm just going to turn my project sideways, and I'm going to join my yarn to this corner here. When working on the side like this, there are no clear stitches, so it can be a little bit hard to tell what stitches you're working into, but we're just going to go row by row, and I'll show you what I mean. So first, you're going to insert your hook into the corner here. I'm just going to try and pick up both loops here just so that it's more secure. Take your yarn and pull it through. I'm going to make a knot. And then take your hook, go back into that same stitch you just attached your yarn to. And then we're going to pull up a loop and chain 1. Now we're going to make 1 single crochet in each row and at the same time attaching the panels together. So I'll show you how to do that. So you can see here we have to determine where our rows are. So this is our first row, and then this is our second row, and here's our third row, and our fourth row, and our fifth row. So I'm going to insert my hook into the first row. So this is the half double crochet I'm going to insert into. It can be a little hard to insert your hook. So I've inserted my hook into the first row here, and then going on our back panel here, you can see this is the first row, and I'm going to insert my hook into a half double crochet stitch that is in that first row. You can just go into the corner here for our first stitch. And we're going to yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. And with 2 loops on your hook, you're going to yarn over and pull through both loops on your hook. And that's our first single crochet. So this is how we're going to connect the sides of our panels together. To continue, you're going to insert your hook into the second row of half double crochets. So for me, the second row is here. Inserting my hook into that second row and doing the same thing on the opposite side. So on this opposite side, the second row is right here. Like so. Yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. And with 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through both loops on your hook. Continue to do that all the way down until you reach your stitch markers. So I'll show you again. This is our third row. I'm going to insert my hook into the third row, and also inserting my hook into the third row on the opposite panel. So it's row 1, row 2, and now row 3. Now yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. With 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through both loops. Okay, going into my next row here. And the next row on this side. Making a single crochet. Next row on the opposite side, making a single crochet. So that's how you're going to seam up the sides. This is what it's going to look like. Okay, so I'm reaching my stitch markers, as you can see here. That's my last row I'm going to go through. So just taking these stitch markers off and inserting my hook through the next row of half double crochets right here. I'm doing the same on the opposite side right here, and single crochet. Again, I recommend you try this on at this point so that you're happy with how big your armhole is. If you want your armhole to be smaller, you can keep making more single crochets up the seam here. And if you want your armhole to be bigger, you can unravel some of your stitches. So from here, we're going to start working in the round to create our sleeve. So to start, I'm going to chain 2. And I'm going to place 1 half double crochet stitch all the way around the armhole. So similar to how we were doing our single crochet seam here, we're going to place 1 half double crochet in each half double crochet row. So for me, my first half double crochet will be in this row here. So yarn over, insert your hook into that next half double crochet row, pull up a loop, and with 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all loops on your hook. Again, I like to mark this first stitch so that it's easy for us to know where to stop on our next round. Okay, continue by making 1 half double crochet stitch in each half double crochet row. So my next half double crochet row will be this one right here. Yarn over, insert your hook into that next half double crochet row, pull up a loop with 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all loops on your hook. Okay, continue doing that all the way around until you reach this stitch marker. So my next stitch is going to be in this row here. Okay, so I'm reaching the seam here, and when you reach the seam, you're just going to treat it as another half double crochet row. So I'm going to place 1 half double crochet in this seam. So yarn over, insert my hook into the seam, pull up a loop, and with 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all the loops on your hook. Then you can just continue like normal. So my next stitch will be in this row here. Okay, so just continue making 1 half double crochet in each half double crochet row. I've reached the end here. This was my last half double crochet row. Now I'm going to take off our stitch marker and we're going to slip stitch join into that first stitch, like so. That's what you should have. Now I'm going to chain 2 and I'm going to turn my work. And now I'm going to make 1 half double crochet in each stitch all the way around. So yarn over, and I'm going to place 1 half double crochet right in this very first stitch here. Again, you can mark that stitch as well to make it easier for you when you come back to it in the next round. Okay, we continue. Make 1 half double crochet in each stitch all the way around. I also forgot to mention that at this point you can flip your work inside out, because at the moment we are working on the wrong side. This is where the seam is. So I'm just going to flip my work inside out. So after flipping your work inside out, you should see that we are now working on the right side, so there is no visible seam here. Okay, so I am reaching the end here. This is going to be my last stitch. So I'm going to place my last half double crochet of this row into that next stitch. And now we're going to slip stitch join into that very first stitch we did in this round. So taking off that stitch marker and inserting my hook into that very first stitch. And then yarning over and doing a slip stitch. Now I'm going to chain 2 and we're going to turn our work. Now at the start of every row, we are going to turn our work, and turning our work will make the seam of our sleeves straight. To continue, I'm going to place 1 half double crochet in every stitch all the way around, starting in this stitch right here. Okay, 1 half double crochet. And again, you can mark that first stitch. And continue making 1 half double crochet in each stitch. I'm making it to the end of my round, and I'm going to place my last half double crochet stitch. And now I'm going to slip stitch join into that very first stitch we did. So insert your hook into that first stitch of the round, yarn over and pull through all the loops on your hook to make a slip stitch. And then chain 2, turn your work, and again continue making 1 half double crochet in each stitch. So you're going to continue making rows and rows of half double crochet in the round until you reach your desired length for your sleeves. When you've done enough rows, you want to slip stitch into the very first stitch of the row. And we're just going to chain 1 and cut off our yarn. Pull to tighten and you are done with 1 sleeve. I recommend you keep trying on your sweater as you're making the sleeve so you're happy with the fit of the sleeve and with the length of the sleeve. For my sleeve, I did a total of 52 half double crochet rows, counting from the first round that we did to make the sleeves. My sleeve also measures about 50 centimeters long. Now we are going to do the same exact thing on the other side. So you're going to start by joining your yarn to a corner here, and then seam up the same number of rows you did on the other side so that your sleeves are equal. And once you have your armhole, you can start making half double crochets in the round and make the same number of rows you did for the first sleeve. Then you can cut off your yarn and you should be done with your sweater. We've made it to the end of the tutorial and I really hoped you found it useful. I'd love to know if you're planning to make your own crochet sweater with my tutorial. Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this tutorial and would like to see more crochet content from me in the future, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!